Hey Dan, this is a really nice computer you got here. Maybe I'll just borrow it for a while.
No, Ezra, we have to film our Parsha video on this thing. Also, it's mine. Didn't you learn anything from this week's Parsha?
What, Parsha?
Welcome to Dan and Ezra Discuss the Parsha. This week, it's Parsha Yitro.
Alright, I laned this week.
This is a super exciting Parsha.
And relatively short.
And it's sort of split into two parts. In the first half, we're looking at Yitro.
No duh. Parsha's named after him.
Yitro, the father-in-law of Moshe. Yitro was originally the priest of Midian, but he recognized Hashem's greatness and his miracles. What makes Yitro so notable is his advice to Moshe. He tells him to create a justice system.
But after Moshe takes this advice, Yitro leaves, and the narrative switches to a little triviality some of you may have heard of, the Aseret HaDibrot, the Ten Commandments.
Actually, I would prefer the translation 10 utterances because the first commandment is arguably so.
We have no time for pedantry. Get it? Because his name is Dan, and he's acting pedantic?
Okay, let's move on.
Hilarious.
We want to mention the last of these 10 commandments because it stands out a little bit. Lo tachmod beit re'echa, lo tachmod eshet re'echa, ve'avdo, ve'amato, ve'shoro, ve'chamoro, ve'chol asher re'echa.
You shall not covet your fellow's house. You shall not covet your fellow's wife, his manservant, his maidservant, his ox, his donkey, nor anything that belongs to your fellow.
There's a lot going on in this verse. Its repetitiveness, the giant gap in the text, the peculiar examples it brings up, and interestingly, Rashi doesn't talk about it.
But we want to share with you some ideas on the commandment itself, brought up by commentaries and our own interpretations as well.
One of the questions Rabbeinu Bechaye answered was why doesn't it straight up say in the 10 Commandments, don't steal?
Wait, I thought it did say don't steal in the Ten Commandments. Lo tignov.
Actually, Ezra, Rashi and other commentaries say that the commandment lo tignov actually means don't kidnap, but it would have made a lot of sense for there to be a commandment here, don't steal. Like the other 10 Commandments, it's a common thing to mess up on, and it forms the basis of a successful Jewish society.
Rabbeinu Bachai points out that stealing actually is in the Ten Commandments, just not explicitly. The prohibition of lo ta'achmod, don't covet, includes the prohibition of theft. I mean, the first step to stealing something is wanting something you don't have, like this really nice computer.
All right, Ezra, let's focus and move on to the next point. It's interesting to point out that this prohibition of coveting is a prohibition even if you don't steal. The mere desire of an item that doesn't belong to you is prohibited, even if you don't do anything about it.
But how could that be enforced? All the other commandments you can see when someone breaks them. A court can enforce idolatry, and murder, and kidnapping, and observing Shabbos. And you can see when someone's actions when they're respecting their parents. And someone can confirm you lied in court.
All of these other commandments involve tangible actions that someone besides yourself might be able to see. This commandment is unique because the only people who know when you are coveting something is yourself, and of course Hashem knows it too.
Rav Hirsch said that this commandment shows Hashem's power. No mortal king could make and enforce a law like this, but Hashem judges everything, even our thoughts and desires.
We think that this commandment also represents the general idea of midos, working on our personal character traits. It's not enough just to make sure we don't do big bad actions like murder and kidnapping and swearing falsely in court. We also have to worry about the things that seem small, making ourselves a better person by controlling ourselves, not just in action, but in our minds.
Kliyakar pairs up the Ten Commandments, 1 to 6, 2 to 7, and so on. So he pairs this commandment, lo ta'achmod, with the fifth commandment, honoring your parents. He says that they are connected because honoring one's parents involves supporting them in their old age, just as they supported you when you were growing up. This reflects Hashem's distribution of wealth, and so does making sure you aren't jealous.
We thought that was a loose connection, so we came up with our own. The 5th and 10th commandments are both based around midos. In order to honor your parents, you first have to think introspectively and realize that you respect everything that they've done for you. It takes a certain humility, and you have to work on your thoughts and desires to achieve that, just like you have to focus on your thoughts and desires to make sure you don't covet.
So when you hear the Aseret HaDibrot this Shabbos, don't just think about your physical actions. The 10th commandment tells us that our thoughts, our desires, and our intentions matter too. We have to constantly improve both how we act and how we think.
Thanks for watching.
Shabbat Shalom.